Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Diane Cardano with the hot off the press real estate market report for May 2014. We have quite an edition for you this month. The market is really getting active, so let's jump right into the news. Well, the news is pretty simple. There are all sorts of conflicting reports about whether or not the housing market is back. You can read two different headlines in the same newspaper on the same page questioning, are home sales going up or are they going down? Now let's take a look at what the headlines are saying. We can start by taking a look at pending home sales. Now, pending home sales are dropping. There's no question about that. We hit tremendous highs last summer as we had so many homes in distress and foreclosure. Now, let's look at the existing home sales. Yes, they're dropping also, which also makes sense. The media is acting like these two complete numbers are completely separate, showing two aspects of the housing market. However, they are just two numbers showing the same trend. The pending sales are about 60 days ahead of the existing or closed sales because it takes about 60 days on average across the country to close the deal. Now, so it's not surprising that existing home sales are down if pending home sales are down. When both reports come out, they're reported as two separate items, almost doubling the negativity. But it's all really one thing. Pending home sales turn into existing home sales. It's not two different categories that are falling. Now, when we take a look at the facts surrounding why they are dropping off, really what is reflective is a question about the market that's becoming more stronger and much more normal. Now, last month I shared with you the breakdown of what houses are selling by price point. And what we saw was massive declines in homes under $250,000, specifically those under $100,000. Those homes dropped off dramatically, off the face of the earth. But do you recall what I told you about the homes from $250,000 and up? Those homes universally showed an increase in number of sales in each price category. That's not the sign of a weak market. That's a sign of a market coming back in a very powerful way. And the reason many of the lower end properties are selling, if we look at it by category, short sales are way, way down. REOs are down. Distressed property sales are down. But if we take a look at existing home sales outside of distressed property sales, they're up. And if we could take a look at new construction, they're up rather dramatically. Now, overall sales are decreasing because there are less and less distressed properties. And that's a good thing in regard to normalizing the market. But sales of non-distressed properties are not down. They are up. And they would be up much more dramatically if we had more inventory. So now we need the inventory to come up. And if we look at the next slide, we can see little by little inventory is starting to increase, and that's great news. It's just not happening fast enough though. I predict that it's going to change in a big way very soon. The mid to end of the summer could have inventory back to normal levels, and the market will be solid and strong for both buyers and sellers, of course with the right home strategies. Now, things are beginning to level out as all of these distressed properties got cleared out. What does that mean? Well, that means that those discount properties are no longer competition to a seller listing their beautiful house. A seller with a nice, well-maintained, beautiful home is not competing with a fixer-upper that has been practically given away by the bank just to cover some of its losses. Now, as a seller, you can feel more confident saying, you know what, I can get a decent price for my house. I'm going to put my house on the market. Now let's take a quick look at home prices, because the funny thing is one article in the newspaper will say, well, you know what? The market is coming down. There's not enough sales. Things are slowing down. And the next article says there's a bubble forming because there's so many houses selling and prices are going through the roof. And how can both of these things be true? So let's take a look at home prices and let's look at it from the position as if there was a bubble forming. Now there was a bubble in 2006. There's no question about it. Then after that there was a correction, pretty dramatic correction, and now we're getting back to normal appreciation. We're nowhere near was in 2006. As a matter of fact, on this graph we can see the prices 2006 to present. We can see according to Case-Shiller, we're nowhere near what the bubble price was in 2006. As a matter of fact, CoreLogic just this month said home prices nationwide remain 16.9% below their peak, which is set in April 2006 from a national standpoint. That's national. They're still almost 17% below where the peak was. Now calm down everyone, the market is normalizing. That's what's taking place. Once it normalizes, then we're going to have a consistent growth the same way we've always had over the last 200 years in this country. So let's wrap it up by talking about interest rates. People are not looking at a 4.5% interest rate saying, hey, my God, that's a great rate. They're saying, wait a second, last year it was 3.3. Freddie Mac just a couple of weeks ago came out and said, one thing seems certain, we're not likely to see average of a 30-year fixed mortgage rate returning to historic lows experienced last in 2012. So if they're waiting for interest rates to go back to 3.5% or whatever, Freddie Mac just said that's not happening, folks. They have a much greater likelihood that 6.5% is coming before 3.5% is coming back. Now, as a matter of fact, on their blog, Freddie Mac just said if they're going to go anywhere, maybe they're going back to more normal numbers, but not back to 3.5% historic lows. And they broke it down by decades. What were the average interest rates in each one of those decades, and what it was to that $200,000 mortgage payment? Well, here it is. Almost every month I gave you a 30-year fixed rate. This time I decided to add something. I shrunk the slide down and combined projection with past history side by side. I want you to see what's going on as projected by Freddie Mac. On the right, you'll see interest rates moving forward over the next 18 months. We're at about 4.5, actually 4.41 right now as I record this. But Freddie Mac is projecting that interest rates are going up and they're going to continue to climb step up every single quarter, ending up about 5.7%. That's a big number compared to 4.4%, ladies and gentlemen, and that's only 18 months away. Now, it's not just Freddie Mac that's saying this. Here are the fourth quarter 2015 projections from the 3 analysts that projected. They're all projecting that interest rates are going to be over 5 and are going to be averaged at about 5.3 somewhere along that line. Now let's break this down to what these numbers mean to you if you're trying to decide if you want to buy a home now or wait until next year. You know from my last market report that the home price expectation survey said that over the next 18 months, prices are expected to go up about 6 to 8%. So take a look at what the difference in payment would be. If you bought a house today, $250,000, and you got a $250,000 mortgage at the current rate of 4.41%, your principal interest payment would be $1,253.38. Fast forward 18 months, given the modest 8% price increase we discussed, that $250,000 would now be $270,000. And if they're correct in the growth of the interest rates, you'd be looking at 5.7% instead of 4.41. Your new monthly payment for the very same house would be $1,556.08. That's a difference of $313.70 each month. That's an extra $100,000 over the life of the loan. That's what's going to happen if these things simply hold the course later on. Well, that's it for today's market report for May. Remember to check back regularly to stay current and ahead of your competition. To really get an advantage, don't forget about our June seminar. It's a huge month for our Home Selling Shark seminars. We have 2 supersized information-filled seminars. One will be at the William Penn Inn on Tuesday, June 17th, and the other at the lovely North Hills Country Club on Thursday, June 19th. They both start at 6:30. Seating is limited. Reserve your seat today. Go to homesharkseminar.com and register. Have a great month.